Hey guys, Dad of 6. Today is Friday, November 10th. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. And so the first thing I want to do is thank all the veterans that are serving, have served, or have moved on to the big sky. I want to thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for what you're doing for this country. And cheers to you. This is kind of a different little bit of a post. Like when you saw the intro, I was putting tools away down here in the basement, and this is what is kind of bad when all the tools are down here and stuff that I have to work on is either outside or somewhere else in the house, and I have to carry everything upstairs in bags. Well, I kind of got behind with the changing the oil and working on that garage and working on the other stuff that I've got out in the yard. I had bags of tools I had to finally put away, so I started doing that. But one of the things that I've been doing when I do all that, I constantly think. I've been thinking about ideas to do with my channel here, and think about some of the other channels that I like watching and some of the ones that I've subscribed to. And so I think about what they're doing, and so I want to talk about some of the channels that I like watching. And these aren't in any particular order. There's not one better than the other. I love them all. I just enjoy watching all of them. And I will put links on the bottom of my page, or on my page, so you can check these out too. One of them actually is kind of an interesting story that I'm going to share with them. Hopefully they'll see it and kind of know what I'm talking about. But one of the first channels that I really started liking was the Unknown Cameraman, with the whole urban exploration. It's beautiful photography, great history behind the buildings that he goes into. He doesn't have as much on there like he used to, but it's still one that I check regularly. The Hoover Boys is one. Boys up in Maryland doing a lot of metal detecting, kind of like a little bit of a history show. And on that, there's Aquachigger, and he's probably the best at it. That's one of the things that my kids like watching. They like watching Mr. Bow do the metal detecting in the rivers and the Civil War, and they like digging up the history, and he talks about it. They love watching him. Another one is Nugget Noggin, another metal detectorist, from down in North Carolina, where we used to live. So, it's kind of interesting watching that one. Jake from The Almighty is another metal detectorist, but he's also an angler. He does a lot of stuff with the water, and he's an interesting one to watch. They're interesting channels. Casey Neistat is another one. He has a great perspective on things, and it's interesting to watch him. Colin Furze from England, he does some of the things that I like doing. My child number 5, which is a boy, he's infatuated with the things that Colin Furze creates, so that's kind of a fun one to watch, and we're going to try to do some of those too. Musty One is one that I kind of fell into, and I've enjoyed watching him. It's a guy from up north, and he goes to all these junkyards and flea markets and finds things and brings home and repurposes them or fixes them and gets them running. And one of the things we toyed around with my kids was building a board track racer from the 1900s, early 1900s. And that's one of the projects that my two boys, number 3 and number 5, want to do. And that's something I want to build with them. But he built one, and it's kind of interesting to watch him build it and ride it. And plus he's also in the Volkswagens, and with me being an ex-Volkswagen mechanic, the air-cooled engines, I kind of like watching his channel. But back to the whole building the board track racer and getting my boys involved in doing something like that. They keep saying, what kind of motor do you want to put on it? What kind of motor are we going to put on it? And so they're trying to find a motor to put on this bicycle, which we're going to try to find a workman's bicycle frame. And we'll have to do a little cutting and some welding and some pipe bending and welding and measuring and welding some more, and I'm sure we're going to have to do some cutting and some of the welds off to fix it. But this is one of the things I want to try to teach them on how to do some welding. And the fact that they're into this, it's what I like. I like the fact that they're trying to learn this stuff. But that leads us to the last channel. Well, it's not the last one, but the one that I'm thinking of right now. Cars and cameras. And it's interesting about this channel because it took me a while to figure out where they're from. But they're from the eastern North Carolina area where I went to college. Went to college in Wilson, won't say the name. And so they have this accent that I couldn't figure out what it was, and then it dawned on me, okay, I know where they're at. And with me have been food service director at Camp Seagull and Seafair, and we would drive back and forth to Virginia, to my parents' place. We always went through Little Washington. And so I kind of saw some streets on this Cars and Cameras channel, and I recognized where that was. So kind of the same stomping ground. So if I was living there at the time, but they weren't, the channel didn't exist then, I would love to have picked their brain and work with them a little bit on some of this stuff, because it was just kind of down the road. But the same channel, and there's two guys that run it, John and Ike. Ike is a mechanic, and John is just the knowledge guy. But I was watching one of the ones that he had on there, and John referred to his school. Well, I used to work at his school. I was the executive chef and food service director at his school. And I was there when I went to Beijing and worked at the Olympics. So John, if you do see this, look up me in the Pendulum. Tag Gray. There's my name. Tag Gray in the Pendulum. You'll read an article about me going to the Olympics. And if you were a student there at that time, I really would have picked your brain about projects and all that. And at the time, I had MGBs, and that's what I was driving back and forth to the school. Starts with a big E. So I kind of figured out where you went to school and everything. And but guys, or all of you, from Aqua Sugar, Nugget Naga, Musty, Colin Furs, the Hoover Boys, Jake from D Almighty, the Unknown Cameraman, and Casey Neistat, and of course John and Ike at Cars and Cameras. I love what y'all do. Keep it up. It's great entertainment. It's knowledgeable. It's teaching. And y'all just do a great job. So with that, cheers to you two. And I just hope that people enjoy what I'm doing on here. I know it's a little rusty now. I'm still getting used to talking in front of a camera. Still trying to find content to do. But I'm working on it, getting things going. And with that, hope everyone stays safe this weekend.